Hey folks, welcome back to the Beer Ranch Garage, and as always, if it's your first time, welcome to the Beer Ranch Garage. Please go ahead and click thumbs up for go ahead and like and click thumbs up and subscribe. To be honest, I don't know if this is going to end up being a video, but obviously if you're seeing it, it did end up being a video. We're at the Junkyard today, and one, I don't have a whole lot of time. I got to run in and grab what I'm trying to grab, just some snacks and an alternator. So I don't know if I'll be able to record or not. So if I do see something interesting, I will. But in the chance that this does become a video, I just wanted to start the intro here. One quick thing that I kind of found interesting is I have like a little Craftsman mechanics jacket. It's like a little blue jacket that it looks like what mechanics wear. And every time I wear it to the junkyard, people come up to me and go, "Oh, are you a mechanic? Hey, do you do work on the side? This, whatever." And if I really wanted to, I could probably get like a side job going with just hanging out the junkyard and having people come up and ask if I'm a mechanic. So it's really hard to wear that jacket to the junkyard because people will ask me if I do work outside, and two, if they don't ask for me to do work for them, they'll ask if I can lend tools to them. So I ended up wearing my tried and true sweater. All right, so I'll go ahead and go inside and catch you inside, but before I do that, let's have a beer. All right, guys, I'll see you inside. All right, so this might in fact end up being a video because I caught a couple interesting things here. For one, I'm trying to get a alternator for a Ford 4.6, and this car looked pretty doggone clean. But when I got over to look at the alternator, I don't know if you can catch that, but it's the original alternator from this car. It's from like 2004. It spins good, but yeah, it's a 20-year-old alternator. So leave that alone. Obviously, this thing had a failed hood strut, so I was looking for something that I could use for a prop. And I was wandering around, and I came over here, and I saw somebody had created a little stash. There's a little drive shaft and that other shock. I took the second shock. And I brought it over here on this Mountaineer to use as a hood prop. But I feel like somebody kind of had stashed that away, so I'm gonna return this shock because I'm not getting that alternator, and I don't care about the hood here. So I'm gonna return this shock. But the other thing I saw is a little dog. First time I've ever seen a little tiny dog in a junkyard. It came up at me and was getting ready to pet it, and some lady came by and she brought her pet to the junkyard. I didn't know you could do that, so that was cool. If I see the dog again, I'll get a clip of it. But for now, we're gonna take this shock. Somebody probably wants this shock, and gonna take it back, put it back in the stash where I found it, in case somebody wants to come back. I figure if they took the time and effort to create a stash, I'll just put it back in case they need it. All right, let's see if we can find another car with a good alternator. All right, hey, easy, Jack, easy, bud. It's the first time I've ever seen a dog at the junkyard.
Really? He's always goes over right.
Aw.
He's
All
taking
right.
a picture of the dog. He's taking a picture of the dog. Here you go.
Thank you, Jack.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I think this one is going to be our one. It spins pretty good. This car hasn't been here that long, and it looks like the reason it was here was an accident. This is a Lincoln Town car, so it's probably owned by a different type of owner than the typical Crown Victoria or whatever. And then this also looks to be an aftermarket alternator. So, it might have some weathering just to being sitting here for a couple months, but I feel like this is this is a good gamble on a Junkyard alternator. I think it'll clean up a little bit pretty good. Like I said, spins pretty decent. The connector looks new. I can't see the tag, but we'll zip it off and take a look at it. So I'm not going to record me taking off an alternator because one, it's raining, and two, it's like 4 bolts and it'll come right off. 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that so I can get out of here real quick. But I'll show you what I found as far as the tag and once I get it off. All right, cool. All right, fine. I'm gonna record it. I'm a whore for content. No, not a content whore, but a whore for content. No, but seriously, check out my OnlyFans. Just kidding, just kidding. I figured, whatever. People like Junkyard videos because they like to see nuts and bolts and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and zip this off real quick. And I don't believe I brought in the, no, I did. I brought liquid rinse. It's one of my, you gotta always bring some kind of lubricant to the yard. I probably wouldn't need this, but it'll just make it easier. Also, the nut to this power cable is really new, so this is probably, I know this is an aftermarket alternator, but it's probably pretty decently new. So let's get it zipped off. What is that, an 8? Come on. Are you kidding? Oh, it was on the low setting. This will bring it right off. Sorry, that was embarrassing. There you go. Okay, in there, this is probably 10, 13. 10. And then these two guys on the bottom, I believe they're 10s, but can't get to it with this. Let's see the foot. Or I'll just do the hand ratchet. Ah, son of a bitch. Whew. All right, let's go with the 1/4 inch and see if that does any good, which at least on that one it did. And then, did I say 1/4 inch? I meant 1/2 inch. I'm sorry. Dumbass. Ugh. Oh. I'm too lazy to set up the impact with the correct extension and swivel to do this. So we'll go ahead and use the hand ratchet. Oh my goodness. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I can't remember if the bolts go all the way through. Or if they just sit on it. All right, I can't do it. I'm gonna set up the ratchet. Sorry. This is what happens when you're fat and lazy. But somebody once told me, somebody smart, that it's easier to be hard than it's easy to be hard, but hard to be smart. So let's be smart and get our prize here. Let's see what we got. All right. Remanufactured Mexico. 0, I can't get a date, but aftermarket alternator, spins real good. We're gonna call this good. and you can tell it's new. So we'll take it home, clean it up a bit, and we'll say this is good. All right, guys. So one last item of interest before we leave is this 94 Lincoln Mark 8, and this has been in the yard since a few months, like I think October, November, something. So it can't be here much longer. This yard doesn't let these things sit that long. But the interesting thing is, as everybody knows, these things have the 96 to 98 Cobra motor for the most part, right? There's some differences, but they have an all aluminum Texid block, and so that makes them very desirable. So I am going to try to schedule some time here, I don't know when, in the next couple weeks, try to get down here and strip this block out. And I would love that block. It's a 4.6 liter Ford block, all aluminum, made in Texas, Italy. And I think it weighs like just under 100 pounds. Some people say 80 pounds. I don't know. But it's about 100 pounds, very light. So I would love to have that block. I have one at home, but I would love to have this. So in a future video, we might try to come back here and grab this. But yeah, so Lincoln Mark 8s from 93 to 98. They had the 32 valve 4.6 liter V8. This car is like rated about 260 horsepower. And one interesting thing you could tell is the owner kind of took care of it a little. Well, I don't know if he took care of it, but kind of was interested in this, because you can tell they painted the intake. You see that the gray, that's not stock. That they painted that, and then they try to paint this crossover pipe. Anyway, so 260 horsepower out of this iteration. The same mechanical engine was mechanically the same. Well, not even mechanic, but essentially the sister of this engine was in the 96 to 98 Mustang Cobras, and those were rated at 305 horsepower. They had different cams, same heads, different cams, probably different exhaust. And I believe the Cobra crank is like 8 bolts more stout, but very similar to this engine. I think cams and very couple little minor things. Intake and cams was the horsepower difference. All right, so let's get out of here, and we'll have a drink on the right before we get right after we get out of here. All right, so wrapping up the trip at the junkyard. It was pretty quick. Got the alternator that I was there for. Actually got a couple little nicks and necks. That was a Audi hood release lever, which I needed one. So I didn't film that because it was not interesting. Got accosted by the boyfriend of the lady with the dog. Like, what's going on there? And I would have, if I was looking to have a little bit more fun, I would have engaged with that a little bit, but kind of let that go. That's why you saw me turn the video, because when I was talking to her, he was back, hey, what's going on over there? And I should have yelled back, I'm taking your lady. And so that might have been interesting. But like I said, I need to get out of here. So we're going to have a beer to commemorate a good junkyard, productive junkyard trip. Got the nice alternator. And you know what? When we get home tonight, I'll make another quick little video, kind of going through the logic that I used to get that alternator. I'm pretty happy with getting a newer alternator. So just a little junkyard wisdom to narrow down decent parts in that scenario, because there's so many different cars with 4.6 liter Ford motors, and just grabbing a random part doesn't necessarily give you the best footing to get a good, or put you in the best position to get a good part. So we'll talk about that later. All right, folks. So just to follow up on the alternator score at the junkyard, I do believe it is a good alternator. It looks like, running the part number, that it is the O'Reilly Parts house brand Ultima, remanufactured Ultima 130 amp alternator. And from the looks of it, it looks pretty new. All right, just a couple points of wisdom to help out in a situation like this, if you end up kind of trying to do what I was doing. So I was looking for a Ford 4.6 liter alternator for that engine, and they had that engine in multiple cars. Crown Victoria, Lincoln Town Car, Mercury Grand Marquis, Mercury Mountaineer, Ford Explorer, Ford Mustang, Ford F-150. So literally there was dozens and dozens of possibilities. And this particular junkyard, they usually have pictures of vehicles. So one of the things I did to help me out is I made a list of maybe like 8 or 10 cars that were potentials. Like I highlighted 2 or 3 that I really wanted to go check out. And so, you know, most of the cars in like the typical junkyard are going to be like trash that weren't maintained. And a lot of cars are going to be trash. So not necessarily one you want to get an alternator from if it's just a piece of crap on its last legs. So, bit of wisdom one, make a list before going. Do some research on what the inventory is. Most yards are pretty good. At least in this area where I'm at, most of the yards are pretty good. They're like corporate yards, and they have a good inventory, up-to-date inventory. The second point of wisdom is kind of evaluate the car you're trying to get at. In this case, like I said, I had many different cars to choose from, but the Lincoln Town Car, for example, tends to be owned by a different type of owner than, let's say, a Crown Victoria or a typical, you know, old Explorer or something. Town cars tend to be owned by older folks who may be more vigilant on maintenance. And you know, I kind of analyze the type of car and prioritize the town car. This particular town car was one of my go-tos. And then lastly, the reason that town car was very attractive is it was in the yard because of obvious accident damage. It had been in a car accident, so it was obviously running before it got to the junkyard. It wasn't like a maintenance mess. And so point number 3 is look for accident cars because it's a maintenance. You know that they're at least running so before they got to the yard. All right, so like I said, happy with this alternator, and just want to give you a little bit of insight into what my logic is at the junkyard. And all right, now I'm going to send it back in time for my slightly earlier self to do the goodbye and close out the video. All right. Thank you for tagging along. Please click like. Please leave comments. Let me know if you like these videos. Let me know how you guys do stuff at the junkyard. And of course, please subscribe. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.